Hi, I'm Dr. Nimisha Kumar. I'm a consultant psychologist and psychotherapist. So I'm also the director of Ascent Psycare. Ascent Psycare is a registered MSME based in New Delhi, and we are into psychotherapy and counseling services.
Hi, my name is Lavanya Gupta. I'm a CBT specialist and the lead psychotherapist at Ascent Psycare. And at Ascent Psycare, we believe in the power of open communication and transformative conversations. And we are dedicated to guiding our clients towards mastering positive self talk and cultivating healthy coping mechanisms for an overall deeper awareness about the self.
Okay, so I'll introduce myself. I'm Dr. Kalyani Seth. I manage the operations and I'm a counseling psychologist, mental health counselor at Ascent Psycare. And I have my prior experience with caregiving, psycho-oncology, and children and elderly. And since February has started, and it's a time to reflect on our relationships and how we navigate connections. We will be coming up with this series, which will be on relationship trends and expectations. And we will be going with the flow, I guess. And let's start. We have a set of questions that we would love to discuss on.
Right, thank you guys. Like relationships is a very interesting topic, and I think human beings being social animals as they are defined, so relationships are a very important part of our lives. They serve as an identity almost for us. They serve give us a sense of belonging, and the research tells us that people who are in a steady relationship and have significant other people in their life visibly have better emotional and mental health. Also, their adjustment in society is much better, and the chances and the opportunities for personal growth and development are a whole lot for people who are into healthy relationships. Also, when there is stress and difficult times, then if we have significant others and people we are close to, that can definitely serve to mitigate the impact of stress. It can in fact act like a buffer and help you cope better. So social support as a method of coping is especially very common in Asian cultures. So the collectivistic cultures where the family, the group is very important. So social support seeking has been found to be a very important way जिसमें हम लोग कोप करते हैं कि जब कोई दिक्कत आती है हमारी लाइफ में या कोई बड़ा सदमा पहुंचता है तो हमें सबसे ज्यादा हेल्प दूसरे लोगों से बात करने में मिलती है, उनका सपोर्ट लेने में, उनसे शेयर करने में कि हमें कैसा फील हो रहा है. So I think human relationships are very very important, and we would love to have a chat amongst us because हम तीनों ही अलग थोड़े अलग अलग एज ग्रुप्स के हैं, एंड हमारा पर्सपेक्टिव एंड हमें क्या रिलेशनशिप्स के बारे में लगता है would be like an interesting point of discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, so then आप लोग maybe we can start with some of the latest terms and fashions and trends going on in the world of relationships. तो उस दिन कल्याणी कुछ बता रही थी कि कुछ नए terms आए हैं, so you want to throw light on them, Kalyani?
Totally. As ma'am said, that it is definitely a social buffer, but we were discussing some new terminologies that has come up, that has surfaced very recently, and we were thinking whether has society or members of society started becoming a source of stress, because we were discussing about this trend called DINK, which is dual income, no kids. So this is where a couple or like partners, they consciously decide not to have children, and they want double sources of income. And this is either by preference or circumstance. They can do it just by choice, or like, then how does the concept of social buffer still exist? So we can talk over that. What do you think now?
I think a lot of it has to do with it's become so much harder to afford basic care. So of course you need more sources of income, but even then it's very hard to raise children to be able to send them to school, to college. Everything is so expensive now.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely one thing. The other thing that at least I've noticed around me is that women are delaying having children, and by the time you come to a space in your life where you're financially stable and your career is fine and you can think about it, it's kind of,
Yeah.
past
I think that's
the
another-
right time.
correct. That concept of red flags have started coming up where it's like a warning, emotional manipulation, or you're being too possessive. So these are, they term it as red flags. So they have become like there is more of commitment. The commitment is lacking basically. They want to delay the commitment part. So what do you
Also,
think?
ये जो like going back to that double income no kids thing,
Yeah.
like yesterday only I was talking to some of my cousins. So one of my cousins has she and her husband have decided very consciously not to have kids, and it's a big talk in the family, and especially her parents feel very stressed out कि ये किस टाइप का डिसीजन है. You have got married, और इंडियन सेटिंग में once you get married the entire family starts asking थोड़े दिन में कि when are you planning a family and this and that. So it came as a big shock for her parents to know कि वो क्यों बच्चे चाहती ही नहीं है अपनी लाइफ में. So one of the reasons she was giving is like she's an environmentally conscious person, so she was saying कि I'm worried about this environmental impact which we all are facing. तो मैं बच्चा लाती भी हूँ लाइफ में, तो what kind of water, what kind of air will this child have access to, and future में जाके क्या होगा. तो thinking all this very consciously, me and my husband have made a decision कि we don't want kids. We would rather जो already बच्चे हैं, हम जिस तरह orphans हैं या कोई भी हैं, adopt ना भी करें तो we can see कि how we can support. Yeah.
Right. I've heard a lot of my members of my peer group also talk about the kind of climate crisis that we're going through at the moment. Is it even sensible? Is it even is it fair to bring another human being into this world and subject them to whatever's happening around us?
Absolutely. पर वैसे आप लोगों ने कुछ सुना है ऐसे कि do you think environment is having an impact on the relationships as well, the kind of relationships that we people have, especially in cities? Anything you've heard around this?
Ma'am, I think I have gone through some recent researches where they have talked about how some personality traits have really come up because of, I don't know, maybe because of global warming. I am yet to read the entire article, but like people are more, they have more rage, they have more anger issues now, they are more stressed out. Anxiety,
yes.
exactly. And as compared to the different generations, if you see your grandparents' generation, their commitment level, the fairly they didn't even meet, sometimes, most of the times I should say, they have not even seen each other before marriages, but still the concept of divorce has gone up right now, which was not there earlier, and very contradictory to what had started happening in the a few decades ago. There were a spurge of nuclear families, right? But now I've seen this growing trend of where they're living with 3 generations. That is also because of caregiving responsibilities. They want people at home to take care of their children if they have, and financial the reasons also, like they want the parents generation to support them. They're earning, it's not like they're not earning, but they still want to live with the whole generation.
Too difficult for people. I mean, nobody in my age group can afford to buy a house anymore.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
And even renting is really difficult, so it makes sense that you live with your parents, you cut some of the costs, and you also take care of them while you're doing that. And then that adds to what you were talking about earlier, right? The double income partners, where you're living with your family, you have double income, but you choose not to have children because it's just not financially viable.
Right, and absolutely. And also the big fact that women have started working, and wives and girls are earning the same amount as the guys. So then they feel that you should have equal responsibility in taking care of the household chores, and even parents of both sides. I've also seen this recent trend कि जिन parents के सिर्फ लड़कियां हैं, supposing there are 2 girls or 3 girls, right, and they get married, so they don't want to leave the parents on their own. जैसे पुराने टाइम में तो शादी हुई चले गए अपने घर पे, but these days guys are quite okay sometimes to stay with the parents of the girls. So I have few examples in my own family कि जो लड़का is okay to stay with the in-laws, and in fact जब बड़े होने रहते हैं पेरेंट्स तो एक ना एक चला जाता है, एक अकेला रह जाता है, तो गर्ल्स फाइंड इट इजियर to stay with their parents. So this is also a changing trend. And another very interesting thing is कि girls who are abroad, so I have this client who and her elder sister are both abroad and the parents are living here. तो उन्होंने CCTV कैमरास लगा रखे हैं पेरेंट्स के घर में, and बहनें they take turns on looking after and keeping a tab on the parents and the caregiver, because caregiving is very very helpful these days, but then security concerns are always there.
Yeah.
Any
I
other?
guess I just relate with it too much at the moment because society wise, I'm at a marriageable age, but that is what I have in mind. I do have a sibling, but I don't want to leave my parents, in the sense, not that they need my help every second of the day, but I want to still support them. There are a lot of tech things that they don't know, maybe they need my help in that. I just want to be closer. Whenever they need any sort of help, I should be able to reach. I don't want to book tickets and schedule my flights to meet them, so I just want to be in touch. And coming from a collectivistic maybe mindset, I am also used to being around people, so there is this fear of loneliness, maybe I should call it. So I also don't want to be isolated. I just want to be near my family. So that's what I stand at the moment. And yeah.
It makes me think of something, how we always talk about how parents need to let their children leave the nest, and they need to learn to detach and let them go and make their own mistakes. And now as people in our 30s, we need to learn to let our parents be and let them exist, because we are so anxious about taking care of them, rightly so. But I think as adults, we also need to learn to kind of have faith that they are capable of taking care of themselves. We don't need to constantly monitor them all the time.
So Lavanya, are you talking about like babysitting one's own parents?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like when you told me about the CCTV. I thought, okay, what about the parents' consent? Like, are they okay with being monitored all the time? It's good for me, it's good for my anxiety to have an eye on them, but are they comfortable with that?
Exactly, that's a very important, in fact, something that you brought up. So consent का तो इंडिया जैसे countries में कोई it's not considered. It's just assumed कि ऐसा होना है, ऐसा होना चाहिए, and sometimes बच्चे खुद ही decision ले लेते हैं कि elderly parents के लिए क्या अच्छा रहेगा, without actually consulting them and asking what they think. And Kalyani had mentioned about multi-generational households.
Yeah.
So वहाँ पे भी I somehow feel that children have become quite self-centered. Like my own parents, उनसे नहीं पूछा जाता है कि are you available for childcare? उनको बस बता देते हैं कि भाई हम जा रहे हैं कहीं बाहर हैं, बच्चे अकेले हैं या उनकी मेड है, तो just keep an eye. तो कई बार ऐसा होता है कि my father also thinks कि उसी टाइम पे हमें भी कहीं जाना था, but now we are stuck. And being grandparents, उनके लिए priority हो जाती है बच्चे. So this is very important.
I think it has a lot to do with giving space. I think that commitment and giving space, these concepts, they're blurred in the Indian society. You don't know. When I say I want to be close to my parents and I want to be available, that does not mean I intrude into their plans. I don't let them go on trips. No, you can't go. You have to be with me all the time. It's not like that. It's just I would say it's like a CCTV, but not with a CCTV. I just want to be near them. That's it. I am not intruding into their personal space, is what I meant.
So I think that then you're talking about a whole continuum where Lavanya is saying on one side it should be completely, very autonomous and full of consent. On the other hand, we have children who just assume कि parents को ऐसा कुछ चाहिए, या parents who assume कि बच्चों के लिए ही अच्छा है. What about romantic relationships? Like, what's your take on what are the current trends in that?
Ma'am, there is a lot of, as I was also mentioning earlier, there's a lot of commitment issues. I'm yet to find the reasons. I'm still exploring. I read every day.
What do you mean by commitment issues, Joseph?
Ma'am, they want to delay it. There are terms like crumbling and green flag, red flags, and all these ghosting. So you are basically delaying or just vanishing from somebody's life suddenly after being, making them feel interested or something, and you're completely vanishing sometimes.
So
And
what's
other
the green flag and red flag that you mentioned?
yeah, so the other day we were talking, like, I was talking to my friends, and we came up with this conclusion that maybe every boy is just a shade of red. Nobody is a green flag. So there will be difficulties and, situational problems with every relationship. You can't have a perfect one. But like that's what they mean. So in this bread crumbling is like you make a person feel that you are interested in them, and you send occasional messages so that they also like stay in the relationship, but you don't commit, you don't want to commit.
So it's like sending breadcrumbs, breadcrumbing, like
Yes,
leaving.
yes. So you,
Yeah,
when
breadcrumbing.
you are
Yeah.
asked about commitment, you don't want to do it, you don't feel you're ready for it, but you still want the person to be available for you, and we should be the priority for them, but you don't want to still commit.
So what
So
is this commitment phobia? Maybe Lavanya can give her viewpoint. What do you think it is?
I'm not sure it's a phobia. I feel like the idea, at least, and this makes me think of the dating, the style of dating, the idea of dating. Um, there was a phase in the middle where dating apps were everyone was using them. That was the only way. And I think now more and more people are again shifting, trying to find more organic ways of meeting people in person. Although even online dating has now become the organic way of meeting people, and it feeds right into our social media culture where you have a person, you either like them or you don't. There's no period of getting to know them. Either this person is right or they're not, so you either choose them or you don't. So, and as soon as you come across even one characteristic in a person that you don't like, your tendency is to go find something else.
Hmm. Well, this brings to mind this principle in psychology that we have hedonism,
yeah.
or life philosophy, where people want to avoid pain of any kind, suffering, and they only want to go after pleasure. So that it makes sense in that way, like what you're saying, and what Kalyani says, that as long as you are getting pleasure out of the relationship, you are in it.
Yeah.
And so the breadcrumbing or gaslighting makes sense in that way. Also, the famous spiritual guru Sadhguru, like sometimes I feel that what he says really resonates. तो एक बार मैंने सुना था, he said कि it's just the happiness you feel when you are with somebody. So
Exactly.
अगर आप happy place में हो उस time, तो you feel as if it's love. So love is nothing but being in a happy place with somebody. So as long as that feeling of pleasure and happiness is continuing, you are fine. जैसे वो नहीं मिलता तो you want to get out of it. And commitment phobia in the sense कि अगर एक बार मैंने किसी से commit कर दिया, propose कर दिया या marriage हो गई, तो then I am not able to get out of it. And people are very scared, I think, of that suffering, or that happens when you're tied down to societal customs or tied down to somebody, because then your freedom gets impacted.
Correct.
Yeah, and they're preempting the suffering. They're thinking of will I do. It's almost an eventuality in their mind that this is going to happen. So I need to.
Catastrophization. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's quite interesting, in fact, imagining the worst case scenarios. तो उस worst
Yeah.
case scenario imagine करने की जगह it's better है कि I stay on my own.
Right.
Like that. Yeah.
I think there is a lot to do with financial independence, obviously. More so for boys, but now it's almost like the same percentage in girls, because you want to be financially independent before you commit. Because this commitment phobia is just not in males, it is in females and otherwise also. So they just want to be,
For
if
women,
not.
I can kind of Sorry, please go on, then I'll make my point.
Saying that there is this commitment phobia is not in one gender, it's all over. So what is the reason there? Like they want to earn how much and then commit is the question. Like you will never be satisfied, right?
At least for women, I feel like we are at a point in our lives in history where we have the option of making that choice, where we can decide that this man is or this woman is not right for us. We can make that choice. And so now, I mean, if you ask me, I'm not going to put up with a man who has red flags because simply because I can say no.
Yeah.
And simply because I have the option of looking elsewhere, and I have, because of my financial independence that you're talking about, and my community of other like-minded people, I know I'll be okay even without it. So I don't feel pressured into making that commitment. I think that has an aspect.
So you're absolutely right, but what about women who don't have that choice even now? Like people who live in very patriarchal or coercive parts even of the country or rural parts, and who are not self-aware, who are not aware. So one question that comes into my mind is that too much choice is also a problem and no choice is also a problem. So girls these days have too many choices, and when you have too many choices you get confused. What do I go for, what is right or not, and sometimes you also end up misusing your rights to make choices. Because again I come back to the point कि people know कि मेरा ये right है या मुझे ये मिलना चाहिए, but मेरी duty क्या है, मेरी responsibility क्या है, that sometimes people forget. So not only duty in a relationship but also duty generally in society, like all of us. And that's why I think most of our societal institutions are falling apart, even in collectivistic societies like India.
There is a lot of moral shifts that I've seen, because I hear this line a lot that moving out of a relationship or divorce was never an option. Even like they had not even it was like a taboo, which I think it still is to some extent with some families, I'm sure. But then again, I have seen a lot of change in the way people have started thinking. There are a lot of single parents. Single parenthood has really increased, right? So I can see single mothers who are earning, and I mean they're doing as good as a normal happy normal nuclear family would, maybe better sometimes. And is it like a cultural, is it like a West culture scenario? What do you think? Like,
and Lavanya also, I'd like you to comment on same-sex relationships because you work with that population as well. So have you noticed any particular relationship trends there as well?
Yeah.
Well, I'm still thinking of the divorce bit that you were talking about. I just had a point to make on that. I feel like it ties into what ma'am was saying earlier, that there are positive and negative aspects of it. There are so many people from the generation before ours, and of course preceding the earlier generation, where people were together, and they were not together because they were happy. They were together because there was no divorce. And they were together because they had no option of moving out. They couldn't go anywhere. It was just unacceptable. So in that sense, having that option now is actually a good thing, where if people are able to move out of unhappy relationships, then it's not necessarily a bad thing that divorce is on the rise. But at the same time, it also means that you are too quick to think of that as an option.
Exactly.
You don't, it's almost like, okay, this is always there, this is always an option, so perhaps it also impacts your level of how committed you are in that.
Yeah, sure.
I have a
Yeah,
sorry,
sure.
go on.
just had a comment on what she just said. Like, do you think people have stopped trying because we have the choice of moving out of a relationship? Have we as humans or maybe people, social beings, we have stopped trying? Is
So
it?
the threshold of suffering has reduced. I think the
Yeah.
earlier the threshold was much higher, and you were ready to sacrifice your own personal goals and self-centeredness and look
Yeah.
at the whole societal and family aspect. Right now, your happiness as a person, as an individual, means much more. So I
Hmm.
think individualism has definitely crept into our society as well. Like Lavanya, again, you can go
Yeah.
back to what you were saying. Sorry to.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. And I keep thinking of this all the time, and I keep thinking actually, in my mind at least, the real question is that a bad thing? If I'm making those choices, if I am prioritizing myself, or if I am any or the like Kalyani said, the moral space is changing. Is that necessarily a bad thing? And I think there'll be lots of conflicting opinions on that. Some people might say that it's actually good that we're moving away from restrictive moral conditions, and some might say, actually, no, we're moving towards a more individualistic society, and that's not a good thing. So
No, I mean, that's a very good question, and we can end there. And maybe, the next time we can look at some psychological theories or, other sociology theories that can throw some light on this very question of morality, and also on relationships and what relationships are all about. So that, in the light of theories, sometimes it's very easy to understand what is going on and make sense of it, and also maybe preempt what might be coming in the future.
Okay, then I guess we can just end with one, maybe one, not a tip, but like anything that we would want to say in the context of being in a relationship, like anything. That's the last leaving thought.
maybe ma'am, and we'll
Yes.
edit it together.
So I have been married now, and it's been almost going to be 20 years. And I think the most important thing is to have common goals. If I've seen, if as a couple you don't have common goals, or if you don't understand or respect each other's personal space and goals, and if you don't facilitate their movement, each other's movement towards those goals, then that can lead to big gaps in relationships. It can lead to communication failure. It can lead to this feeling of giving up and not wanting this, or maybe wanting to be on your own, or finding a better space to be in. So yeah.
Correct. You want to go next, Lavanya?
We're all
I
making
need
the
your
same.
thought. I thought
Yeah, I
we
mean, you can give your final thought, like Kalyani is saying, in relationships.
I'll have to think about it. Think about what I'm.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Whatever I wanted to say. I just wanted to say that it's okay, and we should not be judging ourselves for doing things for our own happiness. It is okay if your marriage is getting delayed according to societal standards. It doesn't really matter, because it's a big decision, and if at all you're taking it, and obviously the children decision and all the things we talked about today, it's a very big decision, and nobody from the society is going to come and help you. So it's your decision. Take your time. Don't judge yourself for anything. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's true. And I think to add to that, I would say just have patience with yourself and with others as well. I think that's something that perhaps we as society can work on. Being more compassionate towards each other. I think that perhaps, might be a good thing.
No, those are good options, and I would also finally conclude and say that if you are going through a tough spot, even with loneliness or with a particular relationship, then it's also a good idea to seek out professional help. And we at Ascent Psycare are very, positive on this, and we see seeking help as a sign of strength. And wanting to talk to somebody who can be neutral and who has studied this as a subject can sometimes help you keep a distance away from your suffering and try to see it in a very objective light as to what is going on, and it can facilitate movement in the right direction.